Hello friends, we are going to discuss rapport in neuro-linguistic programming because rapport is one of the four pillars of neuro-linguistic programming, and we all know that neuro-linguistic programming is a cognitive behavior where we hit upon to get the maximum out of the best in one's person. So what is rapport? Because the entire neuro-linguistic programming is based on the communication, both verbal and non-verbal. So rapport is the first essential real communication in neuro-linguistic programming. Now, how to define rapport? So this is one of the most important aspects of neuro-linguistic programming. When you are building a relationship with others and with yourself, you want to build rapport. Rapport means a kind of understanding. A kind of establishing comfort zone with other. So NLP teaches us great techniques that we can use to quickly gain rapport with individuals who we deal with at work, in our day-to-day family life, or strangers we come across who we want to build rapport with quickly and easily. Because NLP is meant for this only. It is useful for the professionals, for the communicators, for the housewives, for even an individual. That how to get success in life or how to move in life smoothly. So rapport is very important. Rapport is one of the most important features or characteristics of unconscious human interaction. It can be described as a state of mutual trust and responsiveness between individuals or groups of people. So what is rapport? Rapport is the feeling of being at ease and in tune with someone. It is what we experience when engaging in a mutually satisfactory relationship. We have all had the experience of instantly feeling quite at ease with someone, and the feeling of being instantly ill at ease with someone else. In the first case, there is a natural experience of rapport, and in the latter case, rapport does not exist, where your relation is quite bitter. Now, in neuro-linguistic programming, we consider rapport to be the sense of harmony, recognition, and mutual acceptance that exists between people when they are at ease with one another and where communication is occurring easily. Why do one need to have rapport with someone? This is a very important question. Why do one need? So when we are in rapport with someone, the similarities between us are emphasized and the differences are minimized or played down. Now this works because people like those who look like themselves, likes like, which is why we usually gravitate to people who are similar to us. Means we feel attraction towards the people who are like us. Means the similarity attracts people. That is a kind of rapport. Is rapport a skill? That is another question. Yes. We naturally and effortlessly experience rapport with close friends or with people with whom we share an intense common interest. Now, in such circumstances, it occurs effortlessly and unconsciously because we are already in good relation with the friend, with the relative. But suppose you have to meet a stranger in your profession where you have to establish the rapport with him or her. That can be a difficult task, and to establish rapport you need a skill to move ahead. Now, 4 are to create rapport, very important. Respect. they feel that they are respected as unique and equal with us individuals. So, this is the first point when you want to establish rapport with a stranger. Recognition. Their experience is that we are recognizing their verbal and their non-verbal communication and appropriately responding to each of these channels. So, a kind of acceptance, then reassurance, their relationship and their interaction with us is experienced as non-threatening, especially at the level of self-esteem. And finally, responsibility. Their experience of communicating with us is effortless and seamless because we are acting responsibly. In that, we are varying our means of communicating with them to make it easier for them should they want to do so or to relate with us. So, these are the 4 R's: respect, recognition, reassurance and responsibility. To establish rapport not with your friend but with a stranger. And I think that in a professional world, it requires a lot. Otherwise, it is very difficult to work in an alien environment. To make the environment comfortable and full of, friendly, it is very important to establish rapport with the professionals. Now, in interpersonal communication, the prior establishment of a good rapport can mean the difference between a successful, productive communication and an unsuccessful, non-productive interaction. So, interpersonal communication is very important, and as I said earlier that neuro-linguistic programming is entirely based on the verbal communication as well as the non-verbal communication, that is your gesture and posture. So, you have to be careful enough that how you proceed in while establishing an effective communication. So, we can use rapport in interpersonal communication to encourage the person we are communicating with to relax, to feel a sense of familiarity and comfort in their interaction with us, and to lower the barriers of resistance and become more receptive to our communication. Now, rapport means emphasizing similarity, which I discussed just now, that what is rapport? If we find someone is similar to, my physical appearances and hobbies, well, I feel friendly to him or her. So, rapport means emphasizing similarities, and in neuro-linguistic programming, rapport is a process of emphasizing the similarities between us, between the two persons, and of playing down the difference. So, people have been doing this for ages. And NLP simply provides us with a way of clearly understanding the process or the mechanics of rapport, that is to understand other. Now, NLP makes rapport easier. How? Because NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, can give you various techniques to establish the rapport. And it is easy to get along well with people with whom you share common interest. And that is why most of us engage in a searching process. When we first meet someone, we look for common ground upon which to build rapport, such as, do we share an interest in the same sports? Suppose, the person who is interested in football and the other party is also interested in football, well, the discussion will go on and very quickly a kind of friendship will be established. That is rapport. Then come from a similar part of the country or world. Well, this is very common. Generally, we ask a person to whom we are totally indifferent, that where are you coming from? And if we get the answer that he or she is coming from our own area or the region, it gives us a kind of happiness and satisfaction. We feel to, establish closeness with that person. Have children, have no children. Have pets, have no pets. That is to say that the common point for discussion, if you have a pet and the other also discussing regarding the problem, regarding the activity of the pet, similarly regarding the children, share the same hobbies, interest in food or drink, pastimes, like watching movie. So one can discuss the various kind of movies with the person, or go to a similar part of the world for holidays. So these are the points which can establish rapport very quickly, and if very cleverly you can ask the other party that what kind of hobby you have and where are you coming from, you can carry on the discussion so as to establish rapport. Now, this search for common interest can become almost desperate, to the point where people try to discover if they share the same dislikes or fears, or whether they have experienced the same aches, allergies, or even illness. Now, rapport created or pre-existing, it is already there or you are trying to create. That is also a big question, because these two are two different things, created or pre-existing. So pre-existing rapport, seeking shared interest, like this is really just uncovering pre-existing rapport that we did not know existed. It is how rapport is normally created and is based on how alike we already are. As we were discussing, that some of the points, like same hobbies, like from the same region, like the problem of children. So this is the pre-existing hobbies, and then after discussion or after knowing that, uncovering pre-existing rapport. So it does work and can even lead to lifelong friendship. This is that kind of bond, because if you have the same problem other also, well, you feel sympathetic and other also, and that can bring you together. So, but it can take a lot of time, and sometimes we need to be able to quickly develop relationships with people with whom we have little in common and who we may not even like, as with work, colleagues or customers. Now, this is where the NLP approach to creating rapport comes in especially handy, since it provides us with a range of ways of creating rapport above and beyond the pre-existing common interest level. Created rapport, because we are discussing the pre-existed, created rapport, and the two main ways of creating rapport. The first is using non-verbal communication to build rapport, and the other is taking a genuine win-win approach to communicating with one another. Now, using non-verbal communication to build rapport means the same activities, trying to create similarities between the other activities, other person's activities, and the other is taking a genuine win-win approach. Win-win approach means, creating the comfortable zone to communicating with one another. Now, these two approaches work well together. We can use non-verbal rapport to smooth the way while we discover what we both wish to get out of the relationship. But if we only use the non-verbal approach and do not take their interest into account, it is unlikely that the relationship will thrive. Rapport can actually lead to friendship. Now, there is an interesting phenomenon that can occur when we approach rapport creating from the purely necessary or functional angle. We need to get along with someone, so we begin working at emphasizing the similarities between us. We begin creating rapport, and we are now actively emphasizing the similarities between us and playing down the differences. This is precisely the opposite to what is subconsciously occurring when we dislike someone. That is why deliberately created rapport can often result in our discovering that not only can we get along comfortably and efficiently with the other person, but we may even begin liking them. Now, in NLP, rapport is described as the unconscious empathetic relationship to another person. The quality of relationship that result in mutual trust and responsiveness. So, rapport is gained by understanding and respecting the way that another person sees the world. It is like speaking their language. It results in a feeling of comfort and commonality between people. So, rapport over a length of time evolves into trust. Now, NLP rapport, that is neuro-linguistic programming rapport, is the ability to relate to others in a way that create trust and understanding. It is the ability to see the other's point of view and get them to understand yours. You don't have to agree with their point of view or even like it. It makes any form of communication easier. Now, successful interactions depends largely on our ability to establish and maintain rapport. As we discussed that communication, interpersonal communication and non-verbal communication, very important to establish rapport. Surprisingly, we make most business decisions based on rapport rather than technical merit. Yes, it is negotiation and persuasion. Now, negotiation and persuasion, two very important skills of rapport and neuro-linguistic programming. So, it is through rapport that we try to negotiate and we try to persuade. So, you are more likely to buy from, agree with or support someone you can relate to than someone you can't. So, NLP rapport techniques, like many other aspects of neuro-linguistic programming, are quite subtle but extremely powerful in their implications and effects. Dictionaries define rapport as a relationship marked by harmony, conformity, accord or affinity. It supports agreement, alignment, likeness or similarity. Now, emphasizing similarities, there are two ways to see other people. You can choose to emphasize the differences or the similarities between you. You can always find things you have in common with someone, even if it is just being human. Likewise, there will always be differences between you and another. Even clones would have different experiences. So, if you emphasize the differences, you will find it hard to establish rapport. By emphasizing commonalities, resistance and antagonism will generally disappear and cooperation will improve. With practice, it becomes easy to find what we share with other people and focus on it. Now, NLP rapport with body language. This is also very important aspect, because as we all know that non-verbal communication is very important. So, one way to create rapport is by matching the other person's body language. By mirroring the way they carry themselves, you are communicating to their subconscious that I am just like you. People definitely like people who are similar to them. And this is all, this point we already discussed, similarity attract. So, this is a great way to get along with someone new or to create rapport. So, matching body language is not mimicry. I mean, this is the wrong interpretation. You don't just copy every little movement the other person makes. You have to be subtle, otherwise people are going to think that you are an insensitive, deranged, copycat, lunatic, for want of a better phrase. So, you have to look into the situation that how to create that kind of rapport by following the same body behavior, gesture, posture. To create rapport, see the other person's body language, suppose as a dance where they take the lead, dance with them by matching their body language, but do so delicately, because the other party may not feel that you are just trying to copy, or it is a kind of fun making activity. An easy way to do this is by matching posture. If you are sitting with someone and they are crossing their legs, it is fine to cross yours in the same way. If they lean forward when they speak, you can lean forwards too. If they start to lean back, feel free to do so accordingly. So, it goes without saying that facial gestures can be matched inoffensively. For example, if somebody smiles at you, it is perfectly fine to smile back immediately. If they play with their hair or twiddle a pen, you can do so too. Just try not to make too big a deal of it. All of these little gestures will be picked up by the other person's subconscious and will affirm the belief that you are just like them, so they are worth playing with. Creating neuro-linguistic programming rapport with body language gets a little trickier when you attempt to match similar movement that the other person makes. When you try this, you have to be a little more sensitive. If you start copying every little move that they make, you will quickly be rumbled. So subtly is the aim here. Now, for example, if the other person move their arms, you can match this by gently moving your hand on the corresponding side in the same direction. If they move their body, match by moving or nodding your head to follow the direction they take. It is almost as if you make a little tribute move for every larger move that they make. Now, you can even attempt to match breathing with the other person, that is, breathe at the same speed and at the same depth, and they do, but sometimes it is difficult. The techniques, these techniques are the example of what neuro-linguistic programming calls crossover mirroring. Pacing is also one of the important ways to establish rapport. So, NLP rapport is established and maintained by pacing. By definition, this is the process of moving as the other person moves. Pacing or matching accepts the other person's behavior and meets them in their model of the world. It is about reducing the differences between yourself and others at an unconscious level. Now, you can pace or match many different aspects of behavior. Of course, if the other person is aware you are matching their behavior, it becomes mimicry. Obvious attempts to copy people will break rapport. Successful pacing is at an unconscious level. When rapport is established, you can influence the other person's behavior. If you like to know if you have rapport, you can make a movement and find out if they follow you. For instance, you might scratch your nose and see if the other person does the same. What you can match? Matching is something we all do naturally in some context. Watch what happens when someone talks to a small child. They might crouch down to the child height, talk more slowly or excitedly, or talking to your senior, becoming very courteous in terms of body posture too. Now, body posture, you can adjust your whole body, half body or part of your body to match the other. Matching typical poses that the other person offers with their head and shoulders is useful. If the body posture is unusual, however, matching can seem disrespectful. Subtlety is vital. Breathing. You can match the rate of person's breathing as well, where they are breathing, chest, abdomen, stomach, or how deep. This is not a good technique if the person has difficulty with breathing, as you may feel similar symptoms. This is a kind of mockery or making fun out of other problem. So in breathing, one has to be very careful while trying to establish rapport. Voice. Matching the pace, volume, pitch, tone, type of words is a little tricky to learn but worth it. Try watching a TV program in a foreign language in order to notice these auditory processing distinction. You don't have to try to match all these aspects. Choose one. If a person is talking slowly, slow down. If they speak softly, drop your volume too. Beliefs and values, very important part of neuro-linguistic programming. Authentically trying to understand another person's beliefs, that is the ideology and values without judgment, can create very deep rapport. Once again, you do not have to agree with them or change any of your own values. The goal is to understand. Language patterns. Matching language pattern is favorite NLP rapport technique with sales and marketing people, and especially for the management professionals. To acquire a peculiar kind of language to impress others. By using the same words to describe things and processes, the person feels understood. Now listen for their power words. I mean words used by the other. We have often learned to paraphrase what someone says rather than use the same words. We call it active listening, and this is a mistake when it comes to NLP rapport. We attach particular words to corresponding experiences. If someone says she wants to be confident and you talk about her capability, you can miss the rapport boat, because the capability and the confidence. Matching representational systems can be very powerful and subtle. Has anyone had a conversation like this? I just can't see the big picture here. Well, you need to read the instruction more carefully. This is a mismatch of representational system. You see the first sentence like I just can't see the big picture here, and the other, well, you need to read the instruction more carefully. There is no connection between these two sentences, and it is the complete mismatch representational system. Now, pacing and leading. Building rapport is about pacing another person's reality so that they get the sense that you are with them. Wherever they are in the world, if you are able to hold this space for another person where they get the experience that they are with someone who truly understands them, then you have a depth of rapport. From this open connective space, you can facilitate real change. That is why pacing and leading very important for establishing rapport. Before doing that, you can test if you have rapport. Matching and mirroring the other person and then matching them and see if they follow. Now, some examples are taking a step backwards to see if they take a step backward, crossing and uncrossing your legs, picking up your glass and taking a sip. Now, if they follow you and begin matching and mirroring you, then you know you are in rapport. So, developing rapport skills is a kind of practice. The more you will become aware of the different rhythm, gesture, breathing pattern that you and others have, it is fascinating to enter another person's map of the world. You try to capture the mind of the person by mirroring their behavior. You can learn so much more about them, through this way. So, be sure to be subtle in mirroring when establishing rapport. If the other person is making grand sweeping gestures, you may choose to make similar but smaller, less obvious movements. Now, in the beginning, it may feel awkward, but the value in learning to achieve and maintain rapport is worth the time and effort it takes to become skilled in this area of communication. Mirroring is something we automatically do when we are around people we feel comfortable with. So, to learn to mirror purposely in order to gain rapport enables us to enhance our communication with others and have the support of everyone we meet to help us achieve our outcomes and goals. Success is really based on good communication skills and trusting relationships. So, rapport is very important. The secret of developing such relationship comes down in rapport. Rapport is something which happen naturally and when we meet new people sometime. So, we have to be very careful that unconsciously, undramatically, we establish a kind of rapport with other. It is a kind of a skill which can be developed by using our sensory acuity. That is all eyes and the smell and the ear and the nose to read other people and to adjust our approach or our level of communication if necessary in order to achieve the desired outcome. Having similar ideas, using similar speech patterns, agreeing with and acting similarly to other people helped us to develop a stronger rapport with them. And these are all techniques which are the part of neuro-linguistic programming. So, by establishing good rapport at the outset, we can gain commitment from the other party, conscious or unconscious, to trust the process even when they do not fully understand what the process works and what the ultimate outcome will do. So, this is all about rapport, and I am sure that you must have understood the importance of rapport. Neuro-linguistic programming is meant for giving you confidence. Confidence in your activity, in your profession, in your personal life, or as an individual. So, with the help of neuro-linguistic programming, controlling, commanding your neuro language, that is nervous system, you can establish rapport to excel in the society as well as in the professional world. So, these are the points that we discussed just now, that respecting, recognition, and then reframing, mirroring, matching, we can convince a person that yes, there is not much difference between you and me. And as I said that for the professionals, especially in sales and marketing, well, negotiation and persuasion, very important part. And when we talk of negotiation and persuasion, rapport is one of the most important aspects for to establish negotiation and persuasion. So, dear student, go through it very seriously, try to apply it, As I said, that mirroring some of the things, I mean at several places you have to apply your common sense. It is not something what is written is the final verdict. Well, this is just the point highlighting, you know, your knowledge towards neuro-linguistic programming. But out of all such techniques, it is you who has to decide finally that which technique is going to give you satisfaction and success. For that, you have to think, you have to read carefully all the technique, and I am sure that you will be able to get success in your life. Thank you very much.